That's a beautiful piece of music, isn't it? I think the first time I heard it, it didn't really have much of an effect on me. But then when I heard it, I think it was on the film It's a Wonderful Life. Thereafter, that piece of music always had that impact. And then when I heard it again on the film Ghostbusters 2, I think it just added to the emotional effect of that piece of music. I thought a disclosure video might be due. Some of you might have got on that I'm not doing podcasts anymore, even though probably there hasn't been a more desperate time of need for good advice and male focused discussion. It's not because I don't want to do those fantastic podcasts I probably benefit from just as much as anybody else, but I listen to some of the old podcasts, and when I hear myself, which is a good practice for reflection, when I hear myself, I am amazed at some of the things I say in a good way. Listening to the old stuff not only reminds me but keeps me motivated and helps me through these months and years, times of difficulties and times of confusion. It's probably why I said a while ago that it's time for a new generation of content creators. So I thought I'd do this full disclosure video, and I was thinking of putting my they call it a face reveal. I know, cheesy, isn't it? But then I saw one of those game review videos. I was thinking about buying this certain game, and then this guy, this middle-aged, rather unattractive man, stuck his face up speaking over this game. It's bad enough that they speak over it, but then to put his face right smack bang in the middle when you're trying to assess whether you want to buy this game or not, completely ruined it for me. I couldn't watch more than 3 seconds of it, and then that completely changed my mind about putting my own face on my own videos. Well, like we said in the old days, it's not as if it adds anything more to the message, but I think the main reason, the first reason, is the nature of having live conversations. It's even more precarious these days that what a man says requires a much higher level of intrepidness. I mean, the censorship alone is not the worst part of it. It's the government spying. The algorithms pick up on your transliteration, your transcripts, any red light statements, words. Say enough of them, your conversation gets flagged. All of a sudden it's human eyes and human ears watching. Whatever position you are, whether you're trying to ghost or you're trying to climb some career ladder, the last thing you want is any government agency perusing through anything about you, really. It seems government is just bad news all over. Yeah, but that said, I do admire the old shining light guy. I mean, he walked through the fire and came out the other end gleaming, shining and gleaming. And I thought I did that and was still able to carry all the good things about me that I admired when I was younger, that I could walk through the meat grinder and keep all those parts I wanted to keep about myself. I mean, we all change eventually, don't we? Every single one of us, given enough time. All those parts that make us what we are, we change, whether we want to or not, I think. And something that I used to do, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is I would visit the cemetery and visit my children there. Of course, they weren't actually buried there, but it had a type of therapeutic effect. Some say it helped bring closure. Maybe I sort of felt it helped me mourn. It gave me some ritualistic aspect, I guess, to that I was human, and or even though I wasn't speaking to some therapist or writing a book or all the other things that are associated with mourning and loss, at least going to the cemetery and visiting my children, which I couldn't see anymore. It was easier to pretend that they were dead. It does something. I guess that's the spiritualistic aspect of the human side. The things we can't explain. But it did help me get through. It did help me get through the months and the weeks and the years. Significantly, the city I live in, the main cemetery has a small section called Snowdrop Garden, where remembrance and commemorations are laid for all the babies and infants and small children who died but for one reason or another could not be buried in that cemetery. And I would visit Snowdrop Garden once a month, sometimes once every other month. And sometimes I'd bring something, an item, either a piece of clothing. One time I bought my daughter's slippers, or my son's toy car, and I'd lay it in a corner or in the side of in Snowdrop Garden, like many of the other visitors would. And I did this for years, 10 years possibly. So people would see me walking through the cemetery, and some people would see me entering the garden, Snowdrop Garden. And they probably presumed I had a child or children that had died when they were very young. Probably not realizing that both my son and my daughter were alive and but probably very much well, and only a few miles away. But then, almost as if it was all of a sudden, one day I drove up to the cemetery and parked in my usual spot. I walked up to Snowdrop Garden, and when I opened the gate, I just felt they weren't there anymore. Was all set to grieve as much as one man can grieve his estranged children. But as I walked around the garden, I didn't feel their presence anymore. And this wasn't due to any prior self-conditioning or any mental preparation I'd done. I just did what I always had done for the past 10 years or so, and I just stood on the spot where all the other toys and candles and Christmas decorations that other parents had laid there, and I didn't see my kids anywhere. I think in truth I was buried there, or more significantly Shining Light was buried there, or Shining Light died there. Perhaps Nessie was right. The old self is killed before the phoenix can rise. Perhaps the old self has to die, because it's the only way to make it out alive, or at least as alive as can be.